Time and time again, we're proven by the show that no, love is not blind. Like, we're 5 or 6 seasons in, and the amount of people that are saying yes at the altar is getting less and less. You cannot and will not convince me that attraction is not a big factor when dating someone. Don't get me wrong, it's not the most important factor, but like realistically, it's the initial first impression that gets your foot in the door, and then personality comes second. If you're unattracted to someone, it's unlikely that you're gonna give them the time of day romantically, right? Like, even if the personality meshes well, I mean, you're more likely gonna end up as friends rather than a relationship, just because in their minds they're not seeing you immediately as like a romantic interest. Like, if you're unattracted to someone but you vibe well with them, automatically like they're just friend zone. Like, that's just science. It's normal. It's like 1 + 1 = 2. It's just the way things are. And what Love is Blind is showing us is that regardless of what emotional connection you form with someone without seeing them, as soon as you get to see them, that shit goes right out the door, okay? And we see this with every failed relationship on that show. For example, Kenneth and Brittany, they were the church couple. They had a strong emotional connection behind the wall. But as soon as they saw each other, you could just tell that something was missing. And as we see their relationship develop, or I mean, the lack of development in their relationship, physical relationship especially, you could just tell that they just weren't feeling each other physically. Like, there was no physical attraction there, therefore the emotional fell right with it. With Jimmy and Chelsea, they both dated people that they admitted were out of their typical types. Chelsea, you know, goes for like a beefy boy like Trevor, and Jimmy says Chelsea was his type, but I mean, realistically, Jessica saw that, you know, he dated girls that looked more like her and not like Chelsea. But I mean, they were both going for people that just weren't their typical types. And we see them trying to force it to work and try to pretend like everything's all kumbaya between them and that, you know, they're a strong couple. But ultimately, Chelsea's insecurity and knowing that she's not really Jimmy's type at all is what ended the relationship. And then with AD and Clay, it's obvious that AD was super attracted to Clay. Like, she was all in it, like very attracted to Clay. But Clay, I would not say the same. I think Clay was attracted to her body, but I don't think he was necessarily attracted to her face. And you could tell that by the amount of times that this man compliments her physical attributes. He is always just talking about her body and the way it looks, and never just her as like a being. Like, you know, usually people's like, oh, you're so gorgeous, you're pretty. But it was always be like, oh, the body is giving. Like, he'd give these little sassy compliments to her, and it was never really just about like her. It was more so about her body, and, you know, because she had a nice body, but that's the only compliments this man could give this lady. And this is my unpopular opinion, maybe not so unpopular, but the couples that did end up working out in the Love is Blind is because that they just so happen to be attracted to each other. If those couples, when they met, were not attracted to each other, they would have failed. They would have failed like the rest of the relationships. But coincidentally, they had a strong emotional connection behind the walls. When they met, they also happened to have a strong physical attraction. Therefore, the relationship worked out. I mean, you could see that with previous couples that ended up saying yes and are still together. Like, if they were not attracted to each other, it would not have worked out. You cannot convince me otherwise. So with that said, I'm gonna get into the singular characters in Love is Blind season 6 and just my opinions on them. I just feel like Love is Blind continuously, or it's just increasing the amount of people that they cast with mental issues. And I mean in the sense of like, there's a lot of people with insecurity problems, commitment problems, anger issues, sociopathic tendencies. It's like, why are we trying to put these people in lifetime marriages? to cause more trauma? Like, why are we putting these people who obviously need therapy in marriages? Like, why are we trying to cause more trauma? Why are we trying to keep the cycle going? But it gives for good entertainment, I will not lie. I guess that's just the toxicness of human beings. Like, if it's not toxic, we're not gonna tune in. Like, let's be honest. Like, and just disclaimer, I'm not gonna talk about Johnny or Amy. Like, yeah, I guess they were cute, they got married, whatever. Snooze fest. Their storyline was a snooze fest for me. I would always skip over their storylines because there was just not enough drama. They try to convince us with the whole birth control problem, like, oh, like, I want you to get on birth control, and she's like, no, I don't want. They were fucking the whole time. You cannot convince me that they were not fucking. They were fucking. Y'all were fucking. They were fucking. Like, they just had to come up with something because this couple truly had no issues because, I mean, they had healthy communication. They had their priorities in check. So, I mean, whatever. But I'm not going to discuss them in this video no longer than this because they're just boring. First person I want to discuss is Jeremy. His lying ass, cheating ass, delusional ass self. What the hell? This is a man that knows no boundaries or respect for others. Not only did this man have a fiance and a stepchild before going on the show, he then got engaged to another woman and did her dirty by cheating on her with a woman that he supposedly, you know, let down in the pods. Like, this is a man that knows no limits. This is a man that cannot decide for the life of him. And we could see that from his choice of Hawaiian shirts. Like, he doesn't have good discernment. He's the type of dude that wants his cake and wants to eat it too. He's the type of guy that he'll pick someone, but he'll always leave the room or the door open for other options. Like, as long as there is a better option out there for him and he can get it within reach, he's gonna go for that other option. So this man, truly vile, truly annoying, truly pissed me off. Like, if I was Laura, this man, like, he just kept deflecting every time Laura would be like, you lied about this, you did this. Obviously, he's wrong, but he would just deflect by being like,
well, you were mean to me and your tone was not nice. Why would I want to fight for someone that's not even gonna let me send them flowers?
Like, I would have twisted his mouth so hard. Shut the fuck up. Shut the fuck up. You are disgusting. He's just a disgusting, vile man. And then that brings me on to the next vile person, Sarah Ann. You dirty, low down dog that eats scraps from the trash can. This lady pissed me off too. They took the two most delusional people and coincidentally, they got along so great, but in the most horrid way possible. Jeremy and Sarah Ann. Sarah Ann, that scene of them where they're just talking shit about the other cast members because everyone is obviously displeased about them cheating with each other. And then she's just sitting there crying, being delulu with him like, what?
We didn't do anything wrong.
Like, you did a lot of things wrong. You did everything wrong. And then her saying,
I'm just a realist.
Baby, you were real something, all right, but it ain't no realist. You're a real, like, I'm not gonna finish that, but you're a real something. You're a real dog, a dirty dog. And I knew Sarah Ann was up to something. And I knew she was up to something because when Jeremy was breaking up with her in the pod, she was like,
oh, it's okay, don't worry about it. I'll have my moment.
What do you mean by that? You'll have your moment. And when she said that line, y'all, I was like, oh, this is not gonna be the last time that we will be seeing Miss Migrated Filler. They deserve each other, really. But next person, Kenneth. Only opinion that I have for Kenneth is that I just don't think that he likes women. That's it. Chelsea was another aggravating person in this season. And like, she really pissed me off because I could understand where she was coming from. But still, it's just all that unhealed trauma and then the projection onto others was insane throughout this season. I think Chelsea, number 3 villain. Number 3 villain for this season for sure. She was spiteful, hypocritical, nonsensical. Like, the shit she would say would make no sense at all. Like, and I hate the way she would do that fucking baby voice when she was upset. Oh my god, that really pissed me off. But some of the things that I didn't like that she would do is that she would weaponize her emotions a lot to Jimmy. Like, that day that she had her friends over and she was getting on him because he didn't kiss her enough, even though he was upstairs working. And he's like, girl, I did kiss you. She's like, well, not enough. Like, nothing was ever enough for her. And once again, I think it ties back into that insecurity of her knowing that Jimmy doesn't really like her for real. Like, he really did not like her for real, and she could tell. And so she tried to force it and then tried to turn anything up against him, so that, I don't know, I just felt like she was just combing and just trying to find things to be negative about, because deep down she knew it wasn't gonna work out. She knew it was never gonna work out. But that really pissed me off, that she would just weaponize her emotions a lot to Jimmy. She would try to isolate him a lot as well and embarrass him too in front of others. The fact that this man wasn't even allowed to go see his friends for an hour, like wasn't allowed to see his friends for an hour because she doesn't want her man to go out every night, even though this was the first night that he went out in a long time, and he's been attached to her damn hip since the freaking experiment. So she's just a deeply insecure person, and I get that it's because her past and previous partners cheated on her, but baby, you need therapy, not marriage. So I think for her, it was an ego boost for her to have Jimmy like her, and so she wanted to keep that same validation that she got from Jimmy returning similar feelings to her. But when Jimmy no longer continued to validate those feelings as much as she wanted outside of the pods, I think that's kind of where things took a turn for the worst. Chelsea, seek help. Jimmy. I like Jimmy. Unpopular opinion, I like him. I like him a lot. I don't know if it's the southern accent that just does it for me. He has a nice voice. Terrible discernment, like Chelsea, because it was obvious that Jessica was supposed to be the right choice for him. And I do believe if he did choose Jessica, I believe that they probably would have worked out way better than him and Chelsea. But I don't know, I liked him. He was at first we thought that he was gonna be the villain of the season, but then as time went on, we were like, oh, he's just a cool dude. I mean, I will say, this man's acting, incredible. Incredible. Give this man an Oscar, give him an Emmy, give him a Golden Globe, because this man was the best supporting actor of all time. He really was putting that husband role to the test. He was method acting, if you will, because that man knew damn well he was not interested in Chelsea like that, but he tried it. Like, he pretended like this was the woman of his dreams, and he knew damn well that it was not. He knew damn well it was not. This is where I'm torn with him. I don't know if he was doing it because he genuinely wanted it to work, or because he just wanted to keep his good image. You know, I feel like at times he was playing it safe, playing the good guy, you know, not trying to ruffle any feathers. I don't know. Did he do it because he actually wanted things to work with her, or because he just wanted to keep a good image for national television? And you know what? Either or, I don't fault him for it. But I will say he was trifling as hell for introducing Chelsea to his close friend that he fucked less than 2 years ago. That was so weird. But we'll move on because I like his voice. Speaking of people that need therapy, AD baby, it's time. If being Delulu was a person, AD is that person. Because why are you continuously trying with a man that at any chance he gets, he's warning you that he is not the one? He says that he's scared of hurting you. He doesn't want to hurt you. He told you, ooh, maybe it's too soon to get married to you, and you still stay. Why do you stay? Every time that Clay was warning AD and giving her all these red flags, I could physically see the moment that she would just disassociate. Like, it just went in through one ear, out the other. She was like, I don't give a fuck what this man says, I want him. It's like the more someone treats her like shit, the more she wants him. Like, this man was avoiding coming back home to you, and you're still over here talking about,
if he jumps off a cliff, I'm gonna go jump in with him.
I struggled a lot with AD and how I felt about her. You know, sometimes I could understand her. Sometimes I'm like, girl, you're 33. Like, this is 20 to 26, maybe even 27-year-old behavior. But you're 33. When you're in your early 20s to like maybe late 20s, that is the time to deal with ain't shit men so you can get it out of your system, know what your boundaries are, know what to look for in a relationship, and then not waste your time in your 30s. You get right to it, you marry, whatever the hell. I feel like, and I fear that AD has fallen into a situation where she's addicted to bad love. She's addicted to that toxicity of chasing a man who's not even a man, who won't even give her the time of day because she seeks that validation from him because truly on the inside, she doesn't feel like she's enough. And I sympathize her in that regard because it's like, obviously she needs therapy. Her dad died. But then I'm like, girl, you're 33. You're telling me 33 years you've been doing this? Dealing with those type of men, trying to build them? I'm sorry, if you're a man in your 30s and you need a woman to build you, you are too old. At that point, you're a lost cause. I'm sorry, I'm not building nothing. This ain't Build a Man. This ain't Build a Bear. Yeah, I'm not gonna lie, I felt so bad for her after the wedding when he said no. This man laughing and smiling in her face. When he said no, and then she's just bawling her eyes out in the room saying, why am I never enough? Ooh. That was so sad. I felt so bad. But then I was like, girl, you're 33. But no, I felt so bad. And then it's just like, girl, it's not you. That's the problem. It's not you. It's the men that you choose. You choose this type of love each and every single time and expect a different outcome. That's unrealistic, babes. Stop choosing men that don't like you. Stop. Last but not least, the king, the star of the show, Clay. Once again, another person that deeply needs therapy, deeply needs help. I don't know, I feel like you could just see that with a lot of the trauma dumping that he did on the show. He was telling all his family's business. There was not an episode where this man did not mention that his daddy was cheating on his mommy. He's like, yeah, my dad cheated. Yeah, my dad cheated. Yeah, I'm like this because my dad cheated. Yeah, I have problems because my dad cheated. He would take me on his cheating trips. Like, this man definitely has a lot of unresolved issues with his dad stepping out on his mom like that, and him. And I felt empathetic in a way with him just because it was like, damn, you could definitely tell how an absent father emotionally really does affect people in their adulthood. But I did respect how Clay would continuously warn AD and say, hey girl, I don't want to hurt you. I don't know if I'm ready for this. He would give her the warning signs, but I would have respected him a lot more if he would have just understood that and understood that he's not the one for her and then took himself away from the process. Like, he should have, he did a little too late at the fucking altar, embarrassing her, laughing and giggling in her face just for him to say no. I truly think that if he didn't have that conversation with his cheating ass, milk dud headed ass daddy in the altar, or not in the altar, in the room, I feel like if him and his dad never had that conversation before the wedding, I feel like he probably would have said yes to AD. But his dad stated that, he loves to live vicariously through his son, and his son was #1 in sports, and he was so proud. Like, it's obvious that his dad did not want him to get married to AD, and he wanted him to continue being a player like him in his old ass age, looking like a turtle. It's sad to see that Clay, this 30-something-year-old man, is still living like an 18-year-old. Every time he would compliment or uplift AD was because of how she made him feel. Never because of who she was as a person, but how she made him feel, how she uplifted him. That's the only compliments that he would give her. And that's the only reason why he gave her half the time of day. He never gave her the full time of day, only half the time of day, because she catered to him in every single way. She gave and gave and gave and gave and gave so much in this relationship. And he didn't have to do shit. So he was living lavish in this relationship. That's pretty much all the opinions I had on the various clowns on this season. Like I mentioned before, absolutely not. Love is not blind. It will never be blind. But will I tune into the next season? Yes. yes, without a doubt, I will tune in because it's entertainment. Other than that, thank you for watching. Let me know what your thoughts on this season was.